Picture this. It's nighttime, you're at home, and suddenly the power goes out. Your phone's at 2%. The wind is howling outside, the news is silent, the internet is gone. You've got 5 minutes to pack up and leave. What do you take? More importantly, could you survive for 72 hours with no outside help? Hey everyone, today we're not just going through a checklist, we're saving you time, money, and maybe even your life. Here's the deal. The American Red Cross already created a complete list of what should be in your emergency kit. But almost no one follows it. Most people assume, it won't happen to me, or I'll get it later. But when disaster strikes, it's too late to shop. You act, or you pay the price. And let me be clear, I'm not here to scare you for views. I'm here so you can feel confident. So when others are scrambling in panic, you unzip your bag, switch on your flashlight, and realize you're ready. Because you've got a plan, you've got your gear, and most importantly, you've got the knowledge. If you're building your first emergency kit, water needs to be at the very top of your list. Humans can survive weeks without food. Without water, 3 days, maximum. But here's the real kicker. After just 24 hours without water, your body starts shutting down non-essential functions. Your focus drops, headaches kick in, you feel weak, dizzy, uncoordinated. Now picture that not in the comfort of your home, but stuck in a car on the side of the road in 90-degree heat, or in an overcrowded shelter where supplies ran out by lunchtime. I always tell my viewers, water isn't a luxury, it's your insurance against chaos, and I'm not just talking about drinking. You'll need water to wash your hands, prepare food, clean wounds, take medication. That's all water. And if you've got a family, you'll be shocked at how fast even a solid stockpile vanishes. The American Red Cross recommends at least 1 gallon, about 3.8 liters, per person per day. And that's not ideal, that's survival mode. Just think, a family of 4? That's 12 liters per day. In 3 days, you're at nearly 40 liters. And if you're prepping for a full 2 weeks at home, get ready for jugs, barrels, and quality storage containers. Yes, it takes space. But you know what takes no space at all? An empty faucet. Water is always the first thing to disappear from store shelves in any emergency. And it's always the first thing people regret not having. So don't wait for the sirens. Don't wait for the panic. Do it now. Stock up. Check your containers because when the tap goes dry, it's already too late. When most people think about emergency food storage, they picture a box of instant noodles, a couple cans of chili, and maybe some random snack bars from the local supermarket. But here's the thing. Food in a crisis isn't just calories. It's your fuel, your energy, your stability. And if you're living off garbage, survival food at the edge of stress and exhaustion, your body will quit long before your food runs out. Junk survival food is a trap. Sure, it's cheap. Sure, it stores well. But after a couple days living on nothing but ramen, you'll feel like a drained battery. Sugar spikes, zero protein, no vitamins, no stamina. Now imagine trying to care for kids, help your neighbors, clear debris, or just stay mentally sharp when everything around you is unraveling. You can't do that while eating like it's college in 2009. That's why I always tell people, invest in real shelf-stable food. Think canned meals with meat and veggies, freeze-dried entrees, beans, lentils, oats, nuts, honey, dried fruits. Anything that gives you protein, slow-burning carbs, and micronutrients. Check the labels. Look for shelf lives of 1 to 5 years minimum, ideally more. Store them in a cool, dark, airtight space. And if you're serious, get a vacuum sealer, Mylar bags, oxygen absorbers. It's not overkill, that's smart planning. Remember, food isn't a just-in-case thing. It's what allows you to think clearly, move efficiently, and make real decisions. You're not just stockpiling, you're building your foundation. And when others start burning out by day 3, you'll still be on your feet. Not because you're a superhero, but because you prepared smarter. If you've ever lost power for even just a few hours, you already know how fast chaos creeps in when the lights go out. Now imagine it's not just a couple hours, it's days. No electricity, no street lights, no glow from the houses across the road, just pitch black. In moments like that, a flashlight isn't a convenience, it's your eyes. It's your safety. It's how you move, think, and stay in control. But here's the truth. One flashlight isn't enough. That's like having one fire extinguisher for an entire kitchen. It might save you, or it might run out when you need it most. Batteries die. Tech breaks. Lights get dropped, soaked, or lost in the panic. That's why I always say you need at least 3 flashlights. One in your main emergency kit, one next to your bed, one in your car or EDC bag, and if you're serious, make one of them a headlamp, because free hands in a crisis can literally save your life. Now let's talk batteries. Most beginners make 2 big mistakes. They buy cheap flashlights with random batteries. They forget that batteries leak, drain, or die without warning. Here's what you need: lithium batteries. Yes, they cost more, but they last longer, handle cold better, and don't leak like bargain brand alkalines. Also go for flashlights that can charge via USB and accept standard batteries. That flexibility could be critical if the grid's down for days. One more tip: store your batteries separately and label the expiration dates. Most flashlights fail not because they're cheap, but because someone forgot the batteries were already 3 years old. When the lights go out, your only control is the light you bring with you. One flashlight can decide whether you have panic or a plan. So let me ask you, how many flashlights do you actually have? And where are they? Comment below. Let's get real about being ready. When everything's working, it's easy to feel like you'll always be connected. Internet in your pocket, news updates every minute, push notifications lighting up your screen. But in a real emergency, all of that can vanish in seconds. Cell towers go down, power grids fail, Wi-Fi is dead, and suddenly you're sitting in silence, like completely cut off, not knowing what's happening outside your home. And that moment, that silence, it's more dangerous than hunger or cold, because uncertainty kills faster. That's why a NOAA weather radio isn't just some old-school gadget. It's a critical lifeline. This isn't just a radio, it's your direct last resort connection to the real world. In the US, NOAA broadcasts 24/7 with alerts on natural disasters, evacuations, chemical spills, bridge failures, shelter updates, and more. It's the voice that will tell you the storm is intensifying. The main road is gone. You have 2 hours to evacuate. No phone, no signal, no clue what's going on. You can't warn your family. You won't know where the safe zones are. You'll be making life or death decisions, blind. That's why your kit must include a radio that receives NOAA frequencies. Ideally, one with a hand crank or a solar panel. That way, you're not dependent on batteries. There are great models out there that also double as flashlights and power banks. Get those. In a crisis, saving space and maximizing function is everything. And remember this: information is survival. A radio signal might be the only thing that still works when everything else fails. So yeah, it might sit on your shelf for a year, untouched. But the day disaster hits, it'll be worth more than any smartphone. Be honest. When was the last time you actually opened your first aid kit? Now imagine this. Someone in your family slices their hand on a rusty nail, breaks a finger, gets burned by the stove, or suffers frostbite in a freezing, powerless house. Are you ready to handle that right now without running to neighbors or Googling what replaces hydrogen peroxide? A first aid kit isn't just a box of Band-Aids. It's your mini emergency room. And when help might not come for hours or days, what's inside that kit could be the difference between a quick recovery and a life-threatening infection, blood loss, or shock. Here's what should be in every solid emergency kit. Antiseptic, like hydrogen peroxide, chlorhexidine, or iodine. Antibiotic ointment, Neosporin or equivalent. Lots of gauze and sterile bandages. An elastic wrap for sprains. Sterile wipes and assorted band-aids. Gloves. Non-negotiable. Never treat a wound with bare hands. Tweezers, scissors, thermometer. A tourniquet or trauma band, and know how to use it. Burn and insect bite treatments. Meds for pain, allergies, fever, diarrhea, nausea. And one more thing almost everyone forgets: a basic first aid manual. Because under stress, even simple steps can feel overwhelming. Having a reference guide gives you back control. One of the most common mistakes? A kit with no antibiotics or gloves. And without those two things, you can't protect yourself or the person you're trying to help. A small cut can spiral into an infection fast, and without gloves, you're also exposed. Gloves cost pennies, but in a crisis, they mean everything. A first aid kit isn't just in case. It's for that moment when there are no more options. Will you take action or just stand there watching? Are you ready? Drop a comment. What's the one item your kit must have? Let's talk about something most people completely overlook when building their emergency kit. Medications. It seems small, maybe even obvious. You're used to having a pharmacy nearby, pills always within reach. But in a real crisis, a snowstorm, a blackout, a mass evacuation, or blocked roads, access to a pharmacy can vanish instantly. And that's when you realize just how fragile your system really was. That's why having at least a 7-day supply of your critical medications isn't just a suggestion, it's a survival requirement. Especially if you or a loved one depends on daily meds, insulin, inhalers, antidepressants, blood pressure pills, hormone treatments. Running out isn't a matter of discomfort. It's a fast track to real danger, panic, and loss of control. Imagine your child having an asthma attack and the inhaler's empty, or your blood sugar spiraling out of control with no insulin, or trying to manage a crisis without your stabilizing meds. And here's the thing, it's not enough to just toss some pill bottles in your go bag. You need to check expiration dates regularly, seal them in a waterproof zip bag or hard container, include a short usage guide in case someone else has to help you. Keep copies of prescriptions or medical notes in case you need an emergency refill in a new location, I always say. Preparedness isn't just about what gear is in your pack. It's about whether you'll be in a clear, focused state, mentally and physically, to make the right calls. Without your medications, that advantage disappears, and in a chaotic situation, that edge can be everything. So don't wait. Right now, today, think about the meds you or your family rely on. Start building that backup supply. It doesn't have to be huge, it just has to be there. Because in the first 72 hours after a disaster, the medical system will be overwhelmed or offline. And if you want to be one of the people who acts instead of one of the people who waits, start with your first aid kit. If you think a regular knife is all you need in an emergency, you're seriously underestimating reality. Don't get me wrong, a knife is useful, but a multi-tool? That's like carrying a mini tool shop in your pocket. One compact piece of gear that quietly replaces a dozen tools you won't think about until you desperately need them. And here's the thing, a multi-tool isn't about surviving in the woods with a machete. It's about surviving real-world urban or household emergencies. Turn off a gas valve, strip a wire, crimp metal, cut through plastic, open canned food, fix a broken zipper, tighten a loose screw, pull out a nail, remove a splinter, patch up something on the fly. A good multi-tool does all of that and more. If you don't have the right tool when something goes wrong, you waste time, energy, and precious opportunity. I always say a quality multi-tool is your mechanic, electrician, plumber, and rescue tech, all in one. And unlike a full toolbox, it doesn't weigh 20 pounds or take up a shelf. You can keep it in your pocket, bag, glove box, and just pull it out when things go sideways. Because taking action beats standing helpless any day. My advice? Don't cheap out. Get a solid, reliable multi-tool with locking blades, strong pliers, and a smart set of practical tools. Skip the flashy 30-function gimmicks. Choose 10 tools you'll actually use. Because when things fall apart, you won't be digging for a screwdriver. You'll either reach for your multi-tool or you'll be stuck with the problem. Do you have a real one ready to go? Drop a comment. What multi-tool do you carry, and how has it already saved your day? Here's something almost no one talks about when building a go bag. Hygiene isn't about comfort. It's about survival. In an emergency, sure, you can go without a shower, clean clothes, or even a mirror. But you know what you can't ignore? Dirty hands, unwashed wounds, and the slow, silent creep of unsanitary conditions that lead to real infections. Let me put it simply. Illness starts with dirt. One trip to the bushes without wipes, and suddenly you're dealing with irritation or an infection. Skip brushing your teeth a few times? Now your gums are inflamed. And let me tell you, when you're feverish from a preventable infection, you're not filtering water, helping others, or running for shelter. You're flat on your back, losing time, energy, and options. That's why your hygiene kit doesn't have to be fancy, but it does have to be smart. Here's the bare minimum every emergency bag should have. Hand soap or sanitizer, ideally both. 3 to 5 packs of wet wipes. Not just one. Toilet paper or compact options like compressed tissue tablets. Toothbrush and travel-sized toothpaste. Trash bags. For waste you absolutely can't leave behind. Feminine hygiene products, even if you're a man, someone with you might need them. A small microfiber towel, a razor, yes, during extended outages it matters. Anti-chafing or rash cream, especially in heat, rain, or if you're on foot. None of this is luxury gear. It's what stops round 2 of the crisis, the infections, the stomach bugs, the festering cuts. In disaster zones, people often don't suffer most from the initial event, but from what follows. And that fallout usually begins with a single dirty hand, an ignored wound, or skipped hygiene. So, if you're serious about being ready, don't stop at soap and a roll of TP. Real preparedness means thinking ahead to what others will only realize too late. Let me ask you honestly, if you had to leave your home in the next 5 minutes, could you grab all your important documents on the spot? Passport, insurance, IDs, prescriptions, emergency contacts, banking info? Now imagine the power is out, there's no internet, and you can't access your email because your phone died, and two-factor authentication is down with it. Sound familiar? That's what a real emergency looks like. Your documents are more than paper. They are your identity. They're your access to shelter, aid, money, movement, and rebuilding your life. Without them, you are essentially invisible, especially if you're displaced, out of state, without phone service, and can't prove who you are. And in the chaos of evacuation, people lose their documents faster than anything else. So here's what you need to do before the crisis hits. Make hard copies of all critical documents: passport, driver's license, insurance policies, health, car, home, emergency contact lists, medical records, prescriptions, birth marriage certificates. Store them in waterproof protection, a sealed Ziploc, laminated sleeve, or dry bag. Create encrypted digital backups on a flash drive, a secure cloud folder, or an encrypted SD card in your go bag. Never keep your originals and cash in the same spot. Split them. So losing one doesn't mean losing everything. Write down essential contacts by hand, because a dead phone is just a brick, but a notebook is a survival map. Most people skip this step because documents don't feel urgent. But when the system breaks down, when the hospital asks for proof, or the shelter needs ID, or you're trying to cross state lines, those documents become the most important thing you own. So ask yourself right now, if you lost your home tomorrow, would your identity survive? If the answer is no, start here. Start today. When everything's running smoothly, we don't even realize how deeply we depend on electricity. But the moment it's gone, so is your entire mobile life. Your phone turns into a dead brick. Now imagine this: 72 hours with no power, no outlets at the station, at home, or in your car. Suddenly, you're cut off. No GPS, no emergency calls, no banking apps, no news updates. Everything you thought was right at your fingertips? Gone. That's why charging power isn't a convenience. It's a lifeline. It's light. It's communication. It's navigation. It's proof of identity. It's access to help. One dead phone and you're disconnected from everything. That's why I always recommend carry at least two power banks. One smaller one, 10,000 milliamp hours for your everyday kit. Something to quickly top off your phone or flashlight. And one heavy-duty backup, 20,000 plus milliamp hours. Ideally with solar panels or a crank charger for full multi-day autonomy. They're a perfect combo. One for the now, one for the long haul. Now picture this. An emergency hits. The city's flooded. You're relocated to a gym with hundreds of others. The few outlets are overrun. The generator runs 4 hours a day, if that. You've only got one power bank, and it's dying. That's it. You're in the dark, literally. No phone, no updates, no way to call for help. Just fear and waiting. So charge in advance. Test regularly. Keep them packed and ready in your go bag. Label their last charge date. Add your cables and adapters. And if your flashlight or radio takes AA or AAA, include a battery converter too. Electricity is the new currency. Without it, you lose light, connection, and control. Do you have a power bank that can actually last 72 hours? Drop a comment. How many power banks do you own, and when did you last charge them? Be honest. How many phone numbers do you actually remember? 1? 2? Now picture this. Your phone dies. Completely. Not because you forgot something, but because there's just no way to charge it. Now layer on top of that stress cold, hunger, a strange city, and forced evacuation. You need to call your family. Let them know where you are. Or find out if they're okay. And you can't remember a single number. That's when the real crisis begins. Emergency contacts aren't a just-in-case detail. They are the foundation of your communication and personal safety. Without them, you are alone, no matter how much food or water you have. Coordination, rescue, reunification, all of it depends on numbers you either have or you don't. So here's what you need to do right now. Grab the notebook you've included in your emergency kit and write down 10 to 15 key contacts. Family, close friends, neighbors, doctors, insurance companies, emergency services. Include names, phone numbers, addresses, emails, and short notes like evacuation contact or has spare house keys. Make a small emergency card with your top 3 ICE in case of emergency. Contacts. Keep it in your wallet or with your ID. Consider backup communication methods, handheld radios, local emergency radio networks, even encrypted messaging apps if internet access survives. Here's the truth. Under stress, your brain runs on adrenaline. You'll forget things you've known for years. That's when a physical list becomes your second memory. Not your phone, not the cloud, not wishful thinking. A real, tangible survival tool. Connection isn't a luxury, it's safety. And if you want to be truly prepared, don't rely on memory, rely on preparation. One of the most common questions I get from subscribers is, why would I need cash? I pay for everything with my phone or card. Okay, now imagine this. The power is out. The internet is down. Your bank freezes transactions. Or you're stuck in a different city, no cell service, and you can't get through identity verification. Suddenly, your debit card is worthless. No terminals, no ATMs, no access. You're standing in line for food or gas, and there's a sign that says, cash only. Cash is your last universal backup when the system fails. It works when nothing else does. And believe me, within hours of a crisis, ATMs stop functioning. People drain them. Banks can't restock. And if the network crashes, your money stays locked behind digital walls. So how much should you carry? For a basic go bag, at least $100 to $300 in small bills. More if you're prepping for a family or a long evacuation. Break it up, $1, $5, $10. In a crisis, nobody will give you change for a $50 bill. And sometimes negotiation becomes survival, especially when what you're trading for is a bottle of clean water. How to carry it. never in one spot. Distribute your cash inside your go bag, deep and hidden, a small visible amount in your wallet, a stash in your car, tucked into your documents or first aid kit, just in case you get separated from your main gear. And one more thing, don't tell anyone how much you're carrying. In a disaster, money can spark desperation. Or worse, be smart, stay quiet. Be ready. Cards are convenient. Cash is survival. And when the systems crash, it's your cash that will keep you moving, buying, saving, and acting. Get it now, before it's too late. This might sound like a small detail, just a blanket or sleeping bag, right? But the truth is, warmth isn't about comfort. It's about survival, especially when you find yourself outdoors, stuck in a car, in a freezing shelter, or in an unheated home. Cold doesn't wait. It shuts your body down faster than you think. And if you're not prepared, it doesn't just make things miserable. It can stop you in your tracks. I once read a story about a family driving in winter. A blizzard hit. Their car slid off the road. The engine died. No cell service. They spent the night stranded in the vehicle. No sleeping bags, no blankets, no covers, just their clothes. The mother held her children in her lap under a jacket the entire night. They survived, but all suffered severe frostbite. Why? Because their trunk was missing one of the simplest, most critical things, something warm. So, what should you pack? You've got 3 solid options. Ideally, carry at least 2. Emergency blanket, aka space blanket. Lightweight, compact, reflects up to 90% of body heat. Not comfortable, but it can save your life. Regular blanket or fleece throw. Bulky, sure, but great for vehicles, shelter in place, or emergency bedding. Sleeping bag. The best option for real autonomy. If evacuation or outdoor survival is a possibility, get a lightweight, compressible 3-season sleeping bag. Don't forget, heat is about more than layers. It's about preparation, insulating from the ground, mats, pads, blocking wind, swapping out wet clothes. Sometimes a $2 piece of Mylar in your pack is the only thing standing between you and full-blown hypothermia. Cold doesn't ask if you're ready, so be honest. Do you have something in your go bag that would keep you warm in a broken-down car? Comment below. What's your choice? Foil blanket, fleece, or sleeping bag? Today, we're so used to GPS that paper maps seem like relics from another era. But you know what makes GPS completely useless? No signal, a dead phone, or a simple system crash, because in a real emergency, satellites, cell towers, and the internet don't owe you anything. But you still need to know where to go, how to get there, and what's safe. And that's when an old-school paper map becomes your lifeline. Let me be clear, without a map, you're stuck, literally. You become a hostage to your current location. And if you need to evacuate, detour around a flooded street, find an alternate route, or reach a hospital or emergency shelter, but your phone is dead, you're in the dark. That's why every emergency kit should include at least one paper map of your area, nearby highways, and surrounding regions. But not just any map. You should prepare it in advance by marking key points. Your home and multiple exit routes, hospitals, urgent care centers, pharmacies, gas stations, food supply stores, water sources, high and low elevation zones, crucial during floods, official shelters and backup spots you've scouted yourself, family or friend meetup locations. Also, get a basic compass. Because if you don't know how to navigate by the sun or landmarks, stress will lead you off course quickly. I've heard stories of families getting lost simply because a single road was blocked and Google Maps couldn't reroute. They drove in circles until someone ran out of fuel, all because they didn't have a plan B or a physical map. So yes, a paper map may seem outdated today, but tomorrow, it might be your only way home. That's not nostalgia, that's a survival strategy. One of the most important lessons in emergency preparedness is this. There's no such thing as a universal go bag. Yes, we've talked about the essentials, but your real readiness begins when you ask yourself, what does my family actually need? Because a senior parent, a newborn, a pet, someone with allergies or diabetes, Each one adds a layer of responsibility, and what's just a nice to have for some could be a literal lifesaver for others. If you've got kids, add baby food, bottles, diapers, wipes, spare clothes, and one familiar toy. In a panic, a child can go into shock. Something familiar and comforting can make a world of difference. For allergies or asthma, pack extra antihistamines, inhalers, EpiPens. For older adults, hearing aids with spare batteries, glasses, daily medications, and simple written instructions. Pets? Bring a bowl, food, leash, muzzle, and an ID tag with your contact info. Now let's talk about what even experienced preppers often forget. Walkie-talkies. Two radios allow you to stay connected if you get separated. Even in a noisy evacuation, they're game changers. Spare keys. To your home, your car, your garage. Trust me, if you lose access, having extras will feel like a miracle. A knife. Folding or fixed blade, doesn't matter. For cooking, safety, or opening supplies. Just make sure it's solid and safely packed. Work gloves and foam gloves. You might need to clear debris, carry gear, remove broken glass, or protect your hands from cold. Seasonal clothing and shoes. Don't assume you'll be fine in whatever you're wearing when disaster strikes. Weather can become your worst enemy. Rain ponchos. One per person. They weigh nothing but shield against hypothermia, dampness, and illness. Absolute must-haves. And here's the most important thing. You don't need everything, but you do need what's right for your people. Preparedness isn't about a bag. It's about knowing exactly who you're protecting and what they'll need to survive and stay human in a chaotic world. That's where true readiness begins.